ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुर्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्रीराधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च। नम ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगे राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So welcome back to the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu discussion. Yesterday we discussed the practice of a Raganuga sadhaka, especially the third verse, hearing and chanting and following all the limbs of Vaidhi Bhakti. They are equally applicable to Raganuga Bhakti. And then we discussed types of Raganuga Bhakti. That is, in Kamanuga, there are two types, Sambhog Ichha Mai and then Tadda Bhava Ichhatmika. Now, he gives that the Dandakaran rishis are the example, and even males also can practice this kind of bhakti. Now, Rupa Goswami takes another topic, destination of the Vaidhi sadhaka who worships Vrindavan Krishna in conjugal love. Destination of a Vaidhi sadhaka who worships Vrindavan Krishna in conjugal love. Now, before I start this topic and discuss, please hear this title, destination of what? A Vaidhi sadhaka who worships Vrindavan Krishna. He doesn't worship Dwarka Krishna or Mathura Krishna, and that too in conjugal love, Madhurya. So what do you think the destination will be? Raise your hands. Anyone? Yes, Mohan Rup Shyam Prabhuji. Try it out.
First of all, this sadhaka is talking about Kamanuga, Raganuga Bhakti sadhakas.
No. See here. The title is Destination of a Vaidhi Sadhaka. He is a Vaidhi Sadhaka,
okay.
But he is worshipping Vrindavan Krishna.
Yeah,
and that is Madhurya.
So they are Raganuga Sadhaka Bhaktis, right? Bhaktas.
No. See, there is difference between Vaidhi Sadhaka and Raganuga Sadhaka. That's why Rupa Goswami is here now speaking about the theme of destination for Vaidhi Sadhaka who worships Vrindavan Krishna in Madhurya Ras. What will be his destination?
Goloka Vrindavan only.
And till now what we studied? that we can attain Golok Vrindavan only by what type of bhakti, practicing what type of bhakti?
Raganuga Bhakti.
So then what, you see, he's worshipping Vrindavan Krishna. He wants to attain the Madhurya Ras only. But he's a Vaidhi Sadhaka. Sorry. Extremely sorry. Just a minute. Yeah, Priji, what you were saying?
That's why I thought maybe the Vaidhi Sadhaka has been transformed to the Raganuga Sadhaka.
No.
Vaidhi
Now our topic of discussion since last 4 classes is Raganuga Sadhana.
Right.
Yes. Okay. No, it's good. You're trying. It's important because, yes, Prabhuji, Devendra.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So maybe he will, as Prabhuji said, he'll first after finishing the Vaidhi Sadhana, he will be allowed to perform Raganuga. That will be his destination.
No, you see, the whole title and discussion of topic is Vaidhi Sadhaka.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, one more has raised hand. We'll try to. Yes, Nityasivini Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, I think Vaidhi Bhakti Sadhaka, he never come to Goloka.
Yes. Then where this person will go?
He will go to Dwaraka.
But you see, he's worshipping Vrindavan Krishna. And that will Madhurya.
But even though he's worshipping Vrindavana Krishna, but he will never come to Goloka.
Yeah, what you're explaining is quite true. You see, here, there are 2 things you have to know.
Yes.
One is the goal.
Yes.
And the means to attain that goal. So his goal is clear. Correct?
Yes.
It is Vrindavan Krishna and Madhurya. But the means what he is, following is what?
Vaidhi Bhakti.
Vaidhi Bhakti. So with Vaidhi Bhakti, the goal he is very clear. But the means what he is using is not right.
Yeah,
no,
it's
means
not.
Is Vaidhi Sadhana.
Vaidhi Sadhaka. Okay.
So
root is Vaidhi Sadhaka.
Yeah, so he attains not Golok Vrindavan, but certain portion of Golok where there is Aishwarya. Aishwarya Bhav is there. And that is what is being going to be discussed now in this section. So hear this section very carefully. And if you have questions, then we'll take up. So next verse of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Okay. So we have discussed up till here. So this is 301, 2. This is 303. Now very carefully you hear this discussion. This is all new for us. First time we are hearing. Riram Sam Shushta Kurvan Yo Vidhi Margena Sevate Kevalanaiva Satada Mahishitam Yatpure. A person who serves on the path of Vaidhi Bhakti, Yaha Vaidhi Margena Sevate, with a desire for conjugal relationship with the Lord, Ram Sam, and a high position, Shushta Kurvan, but without desire for the gopis type of love, Kevalena Naiva. After some time, Sa Tada becomes a queen in Dwarka. Mahishitam Yat Pure. Now, where this Dwarka is, let us find out. What, Jiva Goswami is going to clear this. So here, what about a Vaidhi Sadhaka who desires conjugal relation? By Raganuga Sadhana, you will get Raganuga Utta Bhav. Ut means generated or born out of it. Then you will get Raganuga Utta Prem. Then Vrindavan Gopis. But with Vaidhi Sadhana, you'll get Vaidhi Utta Bhav, Vaidhi Utta Prem, and Dwarka Queens. So only if you come from Vaidhi Bhakti to the path of Raganuga Bhakti, then you can attain the Gopis' love with Madhurya in Vrindavan Krishna. Now here Dwarka, what it refers to, let us come to that from Jiva Goswami's commentary. This person serves according to the path of Vaidhi with the desire for an amorous relation, Ram Sam, with Krishna, but not with the quality of the gopis' love. The word Shushtu, excellent, indicates that the desire is tinged with a bhav like that of the queen of Dwarka, rather than the conjugal bhav of a maid servant. Serving according to Vaidhi Bhakti, though using mantras for meditating on the love of the gopis, he is using mantras for meditating on the love of the gopis. And of course, using mantras and procedures for meditating on the love of the queens of Dwarka, they will achieve the bhav of the queens rather than the gopis. Kevalena means they execute this service without having desires for a relationship in Raj. Thus, when they perform service in Vaidhi Bhakti, desiring a conjugal relationship like the queens, but without the desire for a relationship like that of the gopis, they attain the status of a follower of the queens in Dwarka. This is because of the great respect they have for the queens of Dwarka in the Avarna Puja, secondary worship after worshipping Krishna using the 10-syllable mantra. They attain this status sometime in the future after some delay. So for Raganuga Bhakti, we attain the results quickly, that's what, but not as quickly as in Raganuga Bhakti. So you can understand how quick this process is. Now, Vishwanath Chakra Thakur goes a lot detail into explaining where actually is their destination. Who cannot give up that mood of Vaidhi rules, following the rules, and although they want to have the desire of the love of the gopis, where they end up, where they land. Though the sentence is in masculine gender, it refers to people in general, men and women. Even though a person develops a strong desire for conjugal relationship with Krishna, but if that person thinks that giving up all the rules in the scripture is improper and unfavorable for nourishing his sentiments, then he attains a position of being an associate of the queens in Dwarka. Kevalena Eva indicates completely that much. Thus, he completely follows the rules of Vaidhi Bhakti without rejecting any portions, such as meditation on Dwarka and worship of the queens, as being unfavorable for his bhav. So he says, if I should not give up this, it is unfavorable for my bhav, so I should. He still stuck to the Vaidhi rules. This is signified by the word eva. Eva means certainly or exactly. Amar Kosh definition of Kevalam is Nirnite Kevalam iti Trilingam to Eka Krisnayo. It is not Krishna, Krisnayo. Kevalam has a sense of fixing or ascertaining. Just a second, give me a minute. Hare Krishna. Extremely sorry because of some emergency. Okay, now let's hear what Vishwanath Chakra Thakur is saying. So he's mentioning the meaning of Kevala. Kevala means has a sense of fixing or ascertaining. Thus the meaning is he serves according to Vaidhi Bhakti as ascertained by rules exactly, not rejecting anything. So this is sometimes, sometimes there is Niyam Agra and Niyam Agra, we have seen. Following the rules without understanding the principle behind it. So he just is fixed in following the rules and is not able to give up the rules. So that is the meaning of Kevala. Those who have a desire to taste the sweetness of Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan, but worship according to Vaidhi Bhakti using nyasas and mudras, do not attain Krishna in Dwarka with Rukmini because they do not have that aspiration. So it is not that they attain Krishna in Dwarka with Rukmini, because they are worshipping Vrindavan Krishna. They want to attain the gopis mood, but they are not able to give up the rules of Vaidhi Bhakti. Nor they attain Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan because they lack the worship on the path of Rag. They lack the worship on the path of Rag. Therefore, since they have a predominance of awareness of Krishna as the Lord, Aishwarya in worship, according to the path of rules, Vidhi, they attain Radha and Krishna in a portion of Vrindavan called Golok in correspondence to that worship. In correspondence to that worship. It is understood that they do not attain the Vrindavan of pure sweetness, pure Madhurya. Shri Rupa Goswami has praised this Golok as a portion of Vrindavan in Stava Mala. Loko Ramya Kopi Vrindatit Vindatati Tavito Nasti Kwapiti Anjasa Bandhu Vargam Vaikuntam Yah Shushta Sandarshaboya Goshtam Ninne Patu Satwam Mukunda. After thoroughly showing Vaikunta to his friends and relatives, with ease he brought them back to Vrindavan, since that place did not have pleasant inhabitants of Vrindavan. May that Mukund protect you. So this is the prayer in Stavamala by Rupa Goswami. So we all know that from the Krishna's pastimes, that once Krishna took all the Brajvasis and he showed them the spiritual world, and there he showed how Krishna was also there. The Brajvasis saw, and then they saw that Krishna was being worshipped there, and then Krishna wanted to show them that how superior is Vrindavan. So this pastime is there in the Krishna book also and the Bhagavatam also. This is what is there. But now, Vishwanath Chakra Thakur explains now. The Vaikunta in this verse means Krishna Vaikunta Golok, the place where Krishna resides with majesty. In the 10th canto, it is described how Krishna took all the cowherd men to Golok, a Vaikunta place of majesty belonging to Krishna, in order to illustrate the special sweetness of Vrindavan to them. They thought, oh, the Vaikuntvasis are in the spiritual world, they are quite superior. We are living in simple village, but they did not. Krishna wanted to show the special sweetness of Vrindavan. So these are the verses now. Iti sanchintya Bhagavan Mahakaruniko Hari Dharshayam Asalokam Swam Gopanam Tamasa Param. Thus, deeply considering the situation, Iti Sanchintya Bhagavan, the all-merciful personality of Godhead Hari, revealed to the covered man his own abode. Now, mark this, his own abode. Darshayam Asa Lokam Swam, his own abode. He showed his own abode, which is beyond material darkness. Tamasa Param. Next verse. Te tu Brahmahardam Nita Magna Krishnena Chodrita Tadarshu Brahmano Lokam Yatra Kruro Dadyagat Pura. The cowherd men were brought by Lord Krishna to the Brahmaharda. The Brahmaharda is the portion where Krishna actually showed this, where Akrura had gone prior to the Bhagavatam narration and were submerged in the water and then lifted up. The cowherd men then saw the abode of the Lord. So he got to the same place where Akrura also had this darshan. So that is the Brahmaharda. Nandadayastu tam drishtva Paramananda nivartita Krishnam cha tatra chandobi stuyamanam suvismita. Nand Maharaj and all the cowherd men felt the greatest happiness when they saw that transcendental abode. Paramananda nivrita. They were especially amazed to see Krishna himself there. Krishnam cha tatra. They saw Krishna there, surrounded by personified Vedas. This is very important to note now. Chandobi stuyamanas. Suvismita, who were offering prayers. They were really amazed. Now, Vishnu Chakra Thakur gives the explanation. Brahmano Lokam, planet of Brahman, described in 10:28:16 is Golok, the planet of Krishna, where the supreme Brahman in human form. So in 10:28:16, this is verse. Brahmano Lokam. So this refers to the abode of Krishna, where the supreme Brahman in the human form resides. It is not the Vaikuntha planet with Lakshmi. Remember this. The Bhagavatam verse 10:28:14 says that Krishna showed them Swam Lokam, his own planet. So Krishna doesn't reside in Vaikuntha. Krishna resides only in Golok. We all have awareness about this. In Vaikuntha, Narayan resides along with Lakshmi. So Swam Lok refers to Krishna's own abode. And they saw Krishna, not Narayan there, the cowherd man. Krishna does not have a planet of Vaikuntha with Lakshmi. In verse 10:28:17, verse 10:28:17 describes Krishna being praised by the Vedas. It is impossible that there would be pastimes of Krishna in Lakshmi's Vaikuntha. So Krishna doesn't perform pastimes with Lakshmi, it's only Narayan. Thus, Brahmano Lokam refers to the planet of Krishna, not Vishnu, called Golok, with majesty. With majesty. This is explained in Vaishnava Toshini and in Lagu Bhagavatamrit, verse 15498, with the words Yattu Gokul Nama Syat Tatcha Gokul Vaibhavam. Gokul Vaibhavam means Aishwarya Golok. What is called Golok is Gokul with a majestic aspect, Aishwarya Golok. Also, in that book, it is said, Tad Atma Vaibhavatam Chatasya Tan Mahiman Nata. Gokul's form of majesty, Goloka, arises from showing greater powers. So there Krishna exhibits his powers. Though it is a divergence from the topic, the meaning is this. What is called Golok, Yad Golok Nama, is but the majesty of Gokul. Gokul Vaibhavam. Gokul is known for its supreme sweetness. Golok is a portion of Gokul which displays majesty. Thus, Tad Atma Vaibhatvam means Gokul's majestic aspect. Goloka is but the majestic aspect of Gokul because Gokul displays a superior position. Tan Mahi Mon Nata. In the Patala Khanda of the Padma Puran, it is said, Aho Madhupuri Dhanya Vaikuntad api garyasi Dhinam Dhinam Ekam Nivasena Haro Bhakti Prajayate. Auspicious Gokul. Now, many times, sometimes we might translate this Madhupuri as Mathura. But you see, auspicious Gokul, Madhupuri, is superior to Golok. Vaikuntat, it is mentioned. That means it is superior to Vaikunta. That's why Vaikuntat is there. By staying there only for one day, devotion to Lord Hari arises. The word Vaikunta in this verse means more than the majestic Golok, rather than more than Vaikunta. Because it is quoted by Rupa Goswami in Laghu Bhagavatamrita to illustrate the greater portion of Gokul in comparison to Golok. Laghu Bhagavatamrita explains that Mathura has two parts, Gokul and the city of Mathura. Gokul has a majestic part called Golok. Thus, Madhupuri refers to Gokul as well as the city of Mathura. So in essence, in the text, the word tada then indicates at some time, even with some delay, not quickly as the attainment through Raganuga Bhakti. That means Raganuga Bhakti attainment is quite quick. Whereas Vaidhi Bhakti with rules and regulations, you will not attain Vrindavan Krishna. So in essence, it means that in the Golok, Vrindavan, there is a majestic aspect. There is Gokul, where there is pure Madhurya, and there is a majestic aspect. And those who practice Vaidhi Bhakti, to attain the Gopis' love only, they worship Vrindavan Krishna. So their deha, the goal is clear, but the means they are practicing is what? Vaidhi Bhakti. So they cannot attain Vrindavan Krishna in Gokul, or nor they attain Dwarka, because the Dwarka mood is quite different. It is, first of all, it is Swakiya. Then another aspect is we are discussing about Raganuga and Ragatmika Bhakti, which is found in Vraj. So there is one Aishwarya portion there. And in that Aishwarya portion, they will attain as one of the queens. So you can understand now how clear our Shastras are. So if you take the right means, then you will get the right ends. You have to take the right means. So Raganuga Bhakti is a very clear path by which we can attain Vraja Krishna. Now let us see the Praman for this, scriptural proof. Next verse. Tata cha Maha Kaurme. That is the Kurma Puran, Maha Kurma Puran. Agni Putra Mahanatmana Tapasa Sritvam Apire Bhartayam cha Jagat Yonim Vasudevam Ajam Vibhum. The saintly sons of Agni, Agni Putra Mahatmana, attain bodies of women, Sritvam Apire, by the path of Bhakti, Tapasa, and attained as their husband. Now see Rupa Goswami himself, or in the translation, not lover, Bhartaram. So they attained as husband and not lover. The unborn, powerful Vasudev, Vasudevam Ajam Vibhu, source of the universe, Jagat Yonim. So from the Mahakurmpanan, this is the evidence that they attained by Vaidhi Bhakti Krishna as their husband. Now we'll come to the elements of practice of Sambandhanuga Bhakti. Any questions you have about anything we discussed up till now? Any questions, any clarifications? Okay. So now this is the last part. We have seen about the practice of Raganuga, especially Kamanuga Bhakti. And now elements of practice of Sambandhanuga Bhakti is the last part which Rupa Goswami is going to discuss. Ata Sambandhanuga. Sa Sambandhanuga Bhakti Prochayet Shadbiratmani Ya Pitrattadi Sambandha Mananarpo. I'm not able to break this. Sambandha Aropatatmika Mananaropitatmika. The devotee is defined Shadbir Prochate. Sambandhanubhakti is that bhakti in which there is constant contemplation of oneself. Atmani Manana. In the mind, in oneself, there is constant contemplation as what? As a parent, friend, or servant of Krishna. Pitruvat Adi Sambandha. An identification with the role. Aropana Atmika. So that role. So this is about Sambandhanaga. Now, Jiva Goswami makes it clear what this verse is saying. That bhakti whose essence, Atmika, is concentrated contemplation, manana. It is not just, it is concentrated contemplation of a relationship as parent, and furthermore, with identification of oneself in that role, is called Sambandhanuga Bhakti. See, first there is concentrated contemplation of a relationship. I am the father of Krishna. There is a relationship, father and son. And then I identify myself as the father of Krishna. So something like that. The definition of Raganuga Bhakti has already specified that the ideal person whom one follows is the inhabitants of Vraj and not Dwarka. So this has been made clear. It's not that in Raganuga Bhakti one will follow parents, Devaki and Vasudev. No, that is not the mood, because Ragatmika Bhakti is only in the eternal associates of Vraj, and Raganugas follow the Ragatmikas. So that is very clear. Thus, identifying oneself as a father in Dwarka is excluded from Sambandhanuga Bhakti, which is a branch of Raganuga Bhakti. Now, further, he explains in this verse, Lubder Vatsalya Sakyado Bhakti Karyatra Sadake Rajendra Subaladinam Bhavacheshtita Mudraya. Practicing devotees, sadake, greedy, lubde, for parental, friendly, and servant relationship. Vatsalya Sakyado perform this bhakti, bhakti karya atra, with indications of the behavior and mood of Nanda, Subala, and others. Prajendra Nandan Subaladinam Bhava Cheshtita Draya. Jiva Goswami in his commentary. However, one should not think oneself as Nanda or Subala. We know that in Raganuga Bhakti, we want to emulate the mood of the Ragatmikas. But one should not think, oh, I am Subal or I am Nanda. Then that will be again a Mayavadi philosophy. There are two types of identification. Thinking oneself different from those persons, but in a similar role such as parent, and thinking oneself to be Nand or Subal. So there is a similar role such as parent and thinking oneself only to be Nand or Subal. The second type is not suitable. One should not think of oneself as Nanda or Subal. Just as worshipping the Lord, thinking that one is identical to him is not proper, similarly, worshipping his associates while thinking that one is identical to them is not proper, since it will be explained later that those forms are eternal like the Lord's form. So eternally, Nand Maharaj and Yashoda, they are eternally the parents of Krishna in Vatsalya mood, and they are not like Jiva Tattvas. They are different, quite different. Nobody can take those roles. But we can follow the Vatsalya mood of Nand Maharaj and attain that same Vatsalya Prem what Nand Maharaj has to Krishna. That also we can attain. But to think oneself as Nanda and take his position, that is a subtle deviation. It is a little Mayavad contamination. So this, in the sadhaka has to be careful in when practicing Sambandha Anuga Bhakti. One will commit offense to those associates through thinking of occupying their identities. So this is not like a demigod post where you can occupy that post. These are eternal posts, Nand Maharaj, Subal, Sridham and all. So if one is thinking of, let me Subal be out and I will become Subal, no, then it is a great offense. So there are many apasampradayas which, have sprung up, especially in Vrindavan, where some of the saints, they claim themselves as Lalita Saki, and they, want to achieve this bhav, and they themselves claim like that. So this is offense to the associates. But we are committing offense to the eternal associates. So one should be very careful about it. Vishwanath Chakra Thakur. It is improper to think of oneself identical to those Vraj devotees. In Sakya Bhakti, for instance, one should not identify oneself completely with Subal, thinking I am Subal. Though a type of identification exists, when one carries out the practice of Angrupasana and thinks I am Krishna, one simply goes to hell, because this type of identification produces thoughts which are completely hostile to the inhabitants of Vraj, such as Nanda, since one competes with them to take that post. We know that, Indra sometimes becomes fearful that somebody will take my post. That's why when Prithu was doing the yajna, he tried to stop the yajna, because he was fearful that one will take. But these eternal positions are there in the spiritual world, and we are trying to compete with them now. So that is, not a healthy attitude. Bhakti is service, which is to be performed with the sadhaka rupa and siddha rupa by the sadhaka. It has already been explained in verse 295. Seva sadhaka rupena siddha rupena chatrahi. The phrase with symptoms of the mood and behavior of Subal and Nanda needs to be explained. Brajendra Subaladinam Bhava Cheshita Udraya. If one does not take shelter of a guru, offers respects, observe Ekadasi, etc., using the argument that Subal and others did not perform those acts, and we should also not follow them after them, one goes to hell, since one commits an offense to Guru. Now, again, I'm coming back to that Sauramya Sampradaya. Yesterday when I discussed, the eternal associates, they don't take shelter of Guru, they don't offer respects to Guru, they don't observe Ekadasi. So we are practicing Raganuga Bhaktas. We'll also follow the eternal associates. They also did not do this. We'll also not do it. So one thinks like that, then one will go to hell. Rup Kaviraj, I yesterday discussed, if you remember. Therefore, the author has said that is a fault if one fails to perform the compulsory angas of bhakti, such as observing Ekadasi. Anantushtanto dosha bhakti anganam prajayate. The person qualified for bhakti is at fault for failing to perform all the important angas of bhakti. But here also we should remember that in Raganuga sadhana, if one is very greedy, impelled by greed, he might sometimes neglect some of the rules of Vaidhi sadhana, because he is impelled to practice bhakti based on lobh. So there is no fault. Although he's running with his eyes closed, still he will not trip or fall. Yesterday we saw that also. Therefore, the mood and actions of Subal, Nanda and others have been described in the Bhagavatam, so that the devotee can perform similar service mentally in his Siddha Deha. And in his sadhaka deha, he follows the directions of the acharyas, the 6 Goswamis, all the acharyas coming, Srila Prabhupada. So that he follows. In sadhaka deha, he follows all the rules and regulations. For them, the acharyas are our acharyas who are coming. The siddha deha will contemplate on manasa seva, especially following the eternal associates. Okay. Any questions regarding Sambandhanuga Bhakti? Is it clear? Any questions, any clarifications? No questions? What is the Mayavadi contamination which can come in the practice of Sambandhanuga Bhakti? Anyone would like to answer? Raise your hand. Otherwise, I'll have to ask. Yes, Mohan Ruksham Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. They think themselves as Nanda Maharaj or Subala or like this, and then they try to. That's offense.
They try to take that post.
They try to take that post and then not following.
If one considers oneself as Nanda Maharaj himself, then
Yeah. And that is the question.
Have you heard about anything like this happening in the somewhere you have come across? Anyone has come across any examples in the recent times, very recent times, maybe 8-10 years back? Anyone knows any example?
That Nityananda in Kailash?
No, I don't know whether what he was claiming like that. But any other example? Anyone knows? Anyone has any idea about some examples about these? It can happen, in maybe externally they might be practicing bhakti, and there can be like, yes. Anyone knows about it? Yes, there are 2 raised hands. Yes, Suryakund Prabhuji. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, one inspector who Gopi, he's a Gopi and he's dressing like Gopi.
Yes. This was an extreme thing, there was an IPS officer in Orissa who suddenly started claiming that he's Radha. And he started dressing in female dress and he was coming to the office. His wife also had to reject him. So this is a very, very extreme case. And there is one Apasampradaya also in this name. Anyone knows the Apasampradaya name? Anyone knows the Apasampradaya name? There is one Apasampradaya. Pavan Bal Govind Prabhu had raised his hand. Yes, Prabhuji.
No, I was quoting the same person, IPS officer. For that I raised that. No, I have not heard.
Yes, this is somewhere who is not practicing spiritual life and suddenly he starts claiming. But within spiritual circles, you can see also this. There is one Apasampradaya which Bhaktivinoda Thakur Saki Bheki. This is one Apasampradaya. So there is also many, and we should be very, very careful about these things. They sometimes are very famous, so-called spiritual practitioners doing bhajan and all, but they are moved and they don't follow the strict injunctions of the scriptures given in the Shastra. They just follow, I don't know, there is no praman for whatever they do. And they have their own bhajans like that. So there are like this many. And, we are so fortunate that we are coming in a very bona fide Guru Shishya Parampara, first thing. And what a wealth of spiritual wisdom is given in our literatures. A perfect path. Updeshamrit, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrit. If we systematically study these books and practice our sadhana, we will ultimately get the goal. Okay, so this is that. I'm just showing I'm not so much in favor of this, but he was Dusri Radha returns male identity. Afterwards, he returned to his male identity. So this had become very famous in the news media many years back. But actually, if you see, there are many who externally look like they are very, they are chanting, they are practicing so-called regulative principles, but internally their mood is not according to Guru, Sadhu and Shastra and the scriptures. So we have to be very, very careful about it. But we are so fortunate we have been given a perfect path. Okay. There are only now 5-6 verses. We will finish the discussion. I finished this. Now there is, okay, this one. Okay, scriptural proof for Sambandhanuga Bhakti. Tata hi shruyate shastra kashchid purupuri stita. Nanda sunoradishtanam tatra putrataya bhajan. Naradasyopadeshena siddho bhut vriddha vardike. It is said in the scriptures, Tata hi shruyate shastra, that some old carpenter, Kashchid vriddha vardike, living in Hastinapur, Puri Stita, worshipped bhajan, a deity form of Krishna, Nanda Sunur Adhishtanam, as his son, Putrataya, on the instructions of Narad, Naradasya Updeshena, and attained the perfection of having Krishna as his son, Siddhada Abodh. So this is the first praman Rupa Goswami is giving for Sambandhanuga Bhakti. This verse shows the first type of identity which is approved. The first type of identity, that is emulating the mood of Nanda Maharaj and not the position of Nanda Maharaj. Adhishtanam here means the deity form. Attaining perfection means that he attained the form of an elderly cowherd parent of the Lord during the pastime in which Brahma stole the boys and calves, and Krishna himself became the sons of the cowherd men. So we know this Brahma Vimon Leela, where Krishna, when Brahma stole the calves and the cowherd boys, Krishna expanded himself and he became the son of all the elderly Gopas and Gopis who worshipped Krishna in Vatsalya Ras. So they in their previous lives, they had emulated Sambandhanuga Bhakti in Vatsalya Bhav, and they were given a chance to to participate in Krishna's pastime. And they, in this pastime for 1 year, it is actually Krishna himself who was their son. And they were able to reciprocate directly Vatsalya Bhav. We should also remember that these elderly Gopas and Gopis had their own children, who were also Gopas, who were friends of Krishna, participating in Krishna's pastimes. But it is natural for the mother to have love for her own child. It is very natural in this world. No mother can say, even if the child is, dull, dumb, not so beautiful, but still the mother has love for her own child. But these elderly Gopas and Gopis, they had more love for Krishna compared to their own children. It is because Krishna is the soul of all souls. So they desired that they like to have loving reciprocation with Krishna, and Krishna very secretly fulfilled this desire during the Brahma Vimohan Leela. In the Skanda Puran, in the part spoken by Sanat Kumar, there is the story of King Prabhakar. This is the king. Though the king was without a king, without a son, he did not desire one because he thought that was his karma. Thinking of Krishna, the eternal Lord of the universe, the soul of all, and the object of Upanishadic knowledge as his son, he installed him with Abhishek as the king He did not pray for a son, but the Lord became his son. Then the Lord himself said, I have become your son. So there is another, in the commentary, Jiva Goswami is giving another example of it. The Skanda Puran offers proof that one should perform service following the sadhaka bhaktas using one's sadhaka deha. Now again, Vishwanath Chandra Thakur clarifies, note, one performs service with sadhak rupa, the present body, and with the siddha rupa, the body suitable for one's desired service to Krishna, appearing through inner contemplation with a desire for a particular rati, bhava, directed towards one's beloved Krishna situated in Tat bhava. This is from the commentary of Vishwanath 295. Seva sadhaka rupin. He installed the deity form, Adhishtanam of Krishna, the son of Nanda. His service to the deity indicates that he did not meditate on the service and the mood of. His service to the deity indicates that he did not meditate on the service and the mood of Nanda, which he could do without direct deity service, but performed physical service using his sadhaka deha, thinking that the deity was directly Krishna, not a deity form. Therefore, the sadhaka should perform service to the deity form since he does not have a direct contact with the Lord. It should be understood that the aged carpenter performed service to the deity as his son, following after other great sadhakas. He attained perfection, Siddhabhut, during the pastimes in which Brahma stole the calves. At that time, Krishna became the son of all the cowherd men. So this is one proof he is giving. The next one is Ataiva Narayan Vyu Stava. Pati putra surit bharta pitravan mitravadharim ye dhayanti sadho dyutas debyopi namo nama. I pay my respects repeatedly, namo nama, to those tebyo who constantly and eagerly meditate. Ye dhyanti sada udyukta. Yukta means to be engaged. Udyukta means to be engaged with enthusiasm upon the Lord, Harim, as their husband, son, well-wisher, brother, father, or friend. Pati, putra, surit, bharta, pitra, one, maitravat. So this is a reference from the Narayan Vyuha Stava. The surit is one who acts for one's benefit unconditionally. So this is the meaning of surit. Rit means a heart-to-heart friend, unconditionally. That's why Krishna is described in the Bhagavad Gita 5.29. Suridam Sarva Bhutana. The Mitra is a person with whom one engages in play. That is the difference between the two words. Kapila has said, Esham ham aham priya atma sutascha saka guru surado daivamishta. Because the devotees accept me as their son, Atma Suta, friend, Saka, perceptor, Guru, benefactor, Surid, and supreme deity, Daivamishta, they cannot be deprived of their position at any time. So, right in Kapila Shiksha also this is mentioned, how his devotees accept Krishna as his lover, his son, his friend, his well-wisher, like that. Last verse of this chapter of second wave. Krishna tat bhakta karunya matra labhe kahetuka pushti margena taya kaschid iyam raganugochate. The mercy of Krishna and his devotees. Krishna tat bhakta karunya matra is the only cause of attaining Raganuga Bhakti. Labhe hetuka. So this we can attain only by the mercy of Krishna and his devotees. Some call Kaishchid Uchate this type of devotion Iyam Raganuga Pushti Margataya. This is the name given by the followers of Vallabhacharya. That marg is called as Pushti marg. The use of the words matra only is used in the sentence to defeat the false proposition of offering of karmas sometimes acts as a cause of Vaidhi Bhakti. Thus, offering varnashram karmas certainly cannot be the cause of Raganuga, which is indifferent to rules. So it is only by, it's not that karma arpanam, you do karma arpanam. That can be, bhakti is the cause of bhakti. So here he's just clarifying that point here in the commentary. So offering of varnashram karma, karma arpanam cannot be the cause of Ragana Bhakti. It is only mercy of Krishna and his devotees. So that completes Raganuga Bhakti. We have finished the second division now of Raganuga Bhakti. Any questions, any clarifications anyone has? Okay, so we'll stop now. Shri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Rupa Goswami Pad ki jai. Hare Krishna.